What's up, everybody? Thanks again for joining me on our new series called In the Pink. And if you are not familiar with what in the pink means, it is a term that goes way back to the 1500s, before pink was even a color. And it referred to being in optimum, in ideal health and happiness. So today we are going to keep you in the pink by covering gut health, and we are filling in that blank with the brain. We're going to go over how these two things are related in our health picture. But first, we're always going to start out with a what we know. So my first what we know that the brain is composed of 75% water. And we also know there's about 100,000 miles of blood vessels that are living and housed in our brain. And my next what we know that most people have about 70,000 thoughts that cross their mind on a daily basis. And my last what we know that there are cells in our brain and central nervous system specifically called neurons. And there's roughly 100 billion of them. Billion! And these cells, these neurons, tell us how to behave. Now also, our gut contains about 500 billion of these neuron cells. And these are connected to our brain through nerves. The vagus nerve being that biggest connector. So we are all in possession of this extremely powerful and wonderfully made organ. And the intricacies of our brain, we are just getting to the beginning of it. In fact, Thomas Edison quoted that our body is basically just a carrier for this wonderful thing we call our brain. But of course, we still have a tendency to lose our keys on a regular basis. All right, it's time to move on. Let's move on to the gut's role. What is the gut's role when it comes to the connection with our brain? Well, the first thing, neurotransmitters. Now, neurons, again, are cells specific to our brain and our central nervous system. Neurotransmitters are chemicals produced by these neuron cells. And these neurotransmitters make it possible for this communication between neuron cells. All right, let's back it up again. Number one, neurotransmitters. So these chemicals have to do with feelings and emotions. Many are produced by gut cells, by these neurons living in our gut. And if you recall, there are trillions of microbes living in our gut. So on the short list of those, serotonin, GABA, short-chain fatty acids like butyrate or acetate. And these neurotransmitter chemicals are responsible for emotions and feelings. All right, let's move on to our second thing, inflammation. Shocker, I know. Because inflammation is a big pillar of our health, one of the big three. And if you recall, inflammation is a response to pathogens. So our immune system also plays a big role in this. So basically, our gut bacteria can stimulate these immune cells in our gut wall. And then these immune cells send signals to the nerves in our brain. So of course, when this immune system response is going on and it's switched on for too long, that leads to inflammation. And we also know there's a connection between inflammation and brain disorders, brain disease. So things like depression, even all the way up to Alzheimer's. Now here's a good example of what I'm talking about. There's a substance called LPS, lipopolysaccharide, and this happens to be an inflammatory toxin that is made by our gut bacteria. And when we have this toxin passing from our gut into our bloodstream, it is going to cause excess inflammation. It's called leaky gut. It's a thing. Look it up. And when we have this excess inflammation, and or this increase in this LPS chemical toxin, they are directly connected to severe brain disorders. So things like depression, anxiety, even schizophrenia. And thirdly, let's talk about gut bacteria. So how can these gut bacteria affect things that are happening in our brain? Well, substances made by our gut bacteria can get into the bloodstream, just like nutrients from foods get into our bloodstream. Also, certain nerves connect our gut bacteria and our brain. And these gut bacteria in the gut send signals through those nerves up to the brain. And gut bacteria has also been shown to influence our vulnerability to certain diseases. And these include things like Alzheimer's, like Parkinson's, even autism. So for example, here's a chemical called synuclein made by gut bacteria. And this substance, this chemical, can travel all the way from our gut up to our brain. Now, it just so happens that people with Parkinson's tend to have an increase in this synuclein. There is definitely a connection between our gut bacteria and our brain. Okay, let's move on to some healthy habits, things that can keep you in the pink with your brain health. First thing, omega-3 fatty acids. Second thing, fermented foods. So things like kefir, like yogurt, pickled anything. And of course, probiotics and prebiotic fibers. The next thing, high fiber foods. So yes, fibers that feed our prebiotics, super important. Whole grains, nuts, seeds, fruits and vegetables, all great sources of fiber. Polyphenol-rich foods, and polyphenols are important because they are high in antioxidants. Antioxidants are cell protective. Things like cocoa, green tea, olive oil, even coffee. The next thing, tryptophan-rich foods, because tryptophan is an amino acid and it's converted into serotonin. All right, let's move on. Let's talk some Plexus. Let's talk Plexus. Well, the first product, we talked about omegas. Plexus has a fantastic plant-based omega product called Mega X. Plant-based, you heard me right. The next thing, ease. Ease is specific to keep our discomfort levels, our inflammation levels in check. And of course, our TRIPLEX system, the cornerstone gut products, Microbiome Activating Slim, ProBio 5, and BioCleanse, keeping our gut bacteria healthy. And the last one, Edge. Edge was specifically developed for brain focus. So it's promoting focus and our sharp thinking. Super important and very specific for what we have talked about. But chances are you're still gonna lose your keys. All right, you guys, thanks for hanging with me till the very end. I hope you have gained a little bit more insight. I hope I have created a little more curiosity on gut health. And if you are new to this Plexus train and you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm gonna list in that description box my link. Get on there, nose around, ask me some questions. Curiosity is gonna get you on this train every time. I'm also gonna list in that description box some videos that I have done in the past. So products we've talked about and touched on today, those links will be there for quick access. I'm also gonna include a playlist right here. So if you have not watched Ingredient Throwdown, which was the last series, that might be something you enjoy, going over specific products and how they play into our overall health picture. And you just might want to join me here again next week, where we'll be going over something else to keep you in the pink.